karo karuna avataro. We continue our reading of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We're in the Madhya Lila, chapter 20. The Lord instructs Sanatana Goswami. Everyone ready?
Yes.
The Vedic literatures give information about the living entity's eternal relationship with Krishna, which is called Sambandha. The living entity's understanding of this relationship and his acting accordingly is called Abhideya. Returning home back to Godhead is the ultimate goal of life and is called Prayojan. Devotional service or sense activity for the satisfaction of the Lord is called Abhideya, because it can develop one's original love of Godhead, which is the goal of life. This goal is the living entity's topmost interest and greatest wealth. Thus one attains the platform of transcendental living service unto the Lord. Purport: the conditioned soul is bewildered by the external material energy, which fully engages him in sense gratification in various ways. Due to engagement in material activities, one's original Krishna consciousness is covered. However, as the Supreme Father of all living entities, Krishna wants his sons to return home back to Godhead. Therefore, he personally comes to deliver Vedic literatures like the Bhagavad Gita. He engages his confidential servants who serve as spiritual masters and enlighten the conditioned living entities. Being present in everyone's heart, the Lord gives the living entities the conscience whereby they can accept the Vedas and the spiritual master. In this way, the living entity can understand his constitutional position and his relationship with the Supreme Lord. As personally enunciated by the Lord himself in the Bhagavad Gita, Vedaisha sarver ahameva vedya. Through the study of Vedanta, one may become fully aware of his relationship with the Supreme Lord and act accordingly. In this way, one may ultimately attain the platform of loving service to the Lord. It is in the living entity's best interest to understand the Supreme Lord. Unfortunately, the living entities have forgotten that this is their best interest, and therefore Srimad Bhagavatam says, Nate vidu swartagadim hi Vishnum. Everyone wants to achieve life's ultimate goal, but due to being absorbed in the material energy, we waste our time with sense gratification through the study of Vedic literatures, of which the essence is Bhagavad Gita, Through the study of Vedic literatures, I'm going to start over. Everyone wants to achieve life's ultimate goal, but due to being absorbed in the material energy, we waste our time with sense gratification. Through the study of Vedic literatures, of which the essence is the Bhagavad Gita, one comes to Krishna consciousness. Thus one engages in devotional service called Abhideya. When the living entity actually develops love of Godhead, he has reached the ultimate goal, Prayojana. In other words, one who becomes fully Krishna conscious has attained the perfection of life. When one attains the transcendental bliss of an intimate relationship with Krishna, he renders service to him and tastes the mellows of Krishna consciousness. The following parable may be given. Once a learned astrologer came to the house of a poor man, and seeing his distressed condition, questioned him. Purport: sometimes we go to an astrologer or palmist when we are in a distressed condition or when we want to know the future. The living entity in conditioned life is always distressed by the threefold miseries of material existence. Under the circumstances, he is inquisitive about his position. For instance, Sanatana Goswami approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to ask him why he was in a distressed condition. This is the position of all conditioned souls. We are always in a distressed condition, and an intelligent man naturally becomes inquisitive. This position is called Brahma Jignasa. Atata Brahma Jignasa, Vedanta Sutra 1.1.1. Brahma here refers to the Vedic literature. One should consult the Vedic literature to know why the conditioned soul is always in a distressed condition. The Vedic literatures are meant to free the conditioned soul from the miserable conditions of material existence. In this chapter, the story of the astrologer Sarvagya and the poor man is very instructive. The astrologer asks, "Why are you unhappy? Your father was very wealthy, but he did not disclose his wealth to you because he died elsewhere." Just as the words of the astrologer Sarvagya gave news of the poor man's treasure, the Vedic literatures advise one about Krishna consciousness when one is inquisitive to know why he is in a distressed material condition. By the words of the astrologer, the poor man's connection with the treasure was established. Similarly, the Vedic literature advises us that our real connection is with Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport: in the Bhagavad Gita 7.26, the Lord says, Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishani chabhutani mam tu vedana kashchana. O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me, no one knows. Thus Krishna knows the cause of the distressed condition of the conditioned soul. He therefore descends from his original position to instruct the conditioned soul and inform him about his forgetfulness and his relationship with Krishna. Krishna exhibits himself in his relationships in Vrindavan and at the battle of Kurukshetra, so that people will be attracted to him and will return home back to Godhead. Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita that he is the proprietor of all universes, the enjoyer of everything that be, and the friend of everyone. Bhoktaram yagyatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram, suridam sarvabhutanam, and full stop. If we revive our original intimate relationship with Krishna, our distressed condition in the material world will be mitigated. Everyone is trying to adjust to the distressed conditions of material existence, but the basic problems cannot be solved unless one is in an intimate relationship with Krishna. Although being assured of his father's treasure, the poor man cannot acquire this treasure by such knowledge alone. Therefore, the astrologer had to inform him of the means whereby he could actually find the treasure. The astrologer said, the treasure is in this place, but if you dig toward the southern side, the wasps and drones will rise and you will not get your treasure. If you dig on the western side, there's a ghost who will create such a disturbance that your hands will not even touch the treasure. If you dig on the northern side, there's a big black snake that will devour you if you attempt to dig up the treasure. However, if you dig up a small quantity of dirt on the eastern side, your hands will immediately touch the pot of treasure. The Vedic literatures, including the Puranas, state that according to the position of the conditioned soul, there are different processes: karma kanda, jnana kanda, the yogic process, and the bhakti yoga process. Karma kanda is compared to wasps and drones that will simply bite if one takes shelter of them. Jnana kanda, the speculative process, is simply like a ghost who creates mental disturbances. Yoga, the mystic process, is compared to a black snake that devours people by the impersonal... I'm good. I'm all good. No, it's good. This is fine. Karma kanda is compared to wasps and drones that will simply bite if one takes shelter of them. Jnana kanda, the speculative process, is simply like a ghost who creates mental disturbances. Yoga, the mystic process, is compared to a black snake that devours people by the impersonal cultivation of kaivalya. However, if one takes to bhakti yoga, he becomes quickly successful. In other words, through bhakti yoga, one's hands touch the hidden treasure without difficulty. The goal of all the revealed scriptures and Vedic injunctions is Krishna. As he himself says in the Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Vedaishcha sarver ahameva vedya. Since the Vedas enjoin one to search out Krishna and take shelter at his lotus feet, and since no Vedic process but devotional service will enable one to do this, one has to take to devotional service. According to the Bhagavad Gita 1855, only the bhakti process is said to be definitive. Bhaktimam avijanati. This is the conclusive statement of the Vedas, and one has to accept this process if one is serious in searching for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives the following statement. The eastern side represents devotional service to Lord Krishna. The southern side represents the process of fruit of activity, karmakanda, which ends in material gain. The western side represents jnanakanda, the process of mental speculation, sometimes called siddhikanda. The process of mental speculation, sometimes called siddhikanda. The northern side represents the speculative method, sometimes known as the mystic yoga system. It is only the eastern side, devotional service, that enables one to attain life's real goal. On the southern side, there are fruitive activities, by which one is subject to the punishment of Yamaraj. When one follows the system of fruitive activity, his material desires remain prominent. Consequently, the results of this process are compared to wasps and drones. The living entity is bitten by the wasps and drones of fruitive activity and thus suffers in material existence birth after birth. One cannot become free from material desires by following this process. The propensity for material enjoyment never ends. Therefore, the cycle of birth and death continues, and the spirit soul suffers perpetually. The mystic yoga process is compared to a black snake that devours the living entity and injects him with poison. The ultimate goal of the yoga system is to become one with the Absolute. This means finishing one's personal existence. But the spiritual part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead has an eternal individual existence. The Bhagavad Gita confirms that the individual soul existed in the past, is existing in the present, and will continue to exist as an individual soul in the future. Artificially trying to become one with the Absolute is suicidal. One cannot annihilate his natural condition. A yaksha, a protector of riches, will not allow anyone to take away riches for enjoyment. Such a demon will simply create disturbances. In other words, a devotee will not depend on his material resources, but on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can give real protection. This is called Rakshish Yatiti Vishvasaha, or in the Bengali poetry of Bhaktivinoda Thakur Sharanagati, Avashya Rakshibhe Krishna, Vishvasa Palana. The surrendered soul must accept the fact that his real protector is Krishna, not his material acquisitions. Considering all these points, devotional service to Krishna is the real treasure house for the living entity. When one comes to the platform of devotional service, he always remains opulent in the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who is bereft of devotional service is swallowed by the black snake of the yoga system and bitten by the wasps and drones of fruitive activity, and he suffers consequent material miseries. Sometimes the living entity is misled into trying to merge into spiritual existence, thinking himself as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This means that when he comes to the spiritual platform, he will be disturbed and will again return to the material platform. According to Srimad Bhagavatam 10.2.32, Yene rundakshava Tvayasta bhavadavashuddha buddhaya aruya krishnena parampadam tata patantyato nadritat yushmadangraya. Such people may become sannyasis, but unless they take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, they will return to the material platform to perform philanthropic activities. In this way, one's spiritual life is lost. This is to be understood as being devoured by the black snake. The revealed scriptures conclude that one should give up fruitive activity, speculative knowledge, and the mystic yoga system, and instead take to devotional service by which Krishna can be fully satisfied. Na sadhyati mam yogo na sankham dharma uddhava na swadhyayas tapastyago yata bhaktir mamurjita. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Uddhava, neither through Ashtanga Yoga, the mystic yoga system to control the senses, nor through impersonal monism, or an analytical study of the Absolute Truth, nor through study of the Vedas, nor through austerities, charity, or acceptance of sannyas, can one satisfy me as much as by developing unalloyed devotional service unto me." This and the following verse are quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.14.20 through 21. The explanation for this verse is given in Adi Lila. Bhaktyaham ekaya krahya shadaya ma prayasatam bhakti punati mandishta shrapakan apisambhavad. Being very dear to the devotees and sadhus, I am attained through unflinching faith and devotional service. This bhakti yoga system, which gradually increases attachment for me, purifies even a human being born among dog-eaters. That is to say, everyone can be elevated to the spiritual platform by the process of bhakti yoga. The conclusion is that devotional service is the only means for approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This system is therefore called Abhideya. This is the verdict of all revealed scriptures. As Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita 18:55, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyaschasmi tatvataha tato mam tatvato gyatva vishite tadanantaram. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service, and when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. The aim of life is to get rid of the material conditioning and enter into spiritual existence. Although the Shastras prescribe different methods for different men, the Supreme Personality of Godhead says that one ultimately must accept the path of devotional service as the assured path of spiritual advancement. Devotional service to the Lord is the only process actually confirmed by the Lord. Sarvadharman parityaja mamekam sharanam braja. One must become a devotee if one wants to return home back to Godhead and become eternally blissful. When one actually becomes rich, he naturally enjoys all kinds of happiness. When one is actually in a happy mood, all the stressful conditions go away by themselves. No extraneous endeavor is needed. Similarly, as a result of bhakti, one's dormant love for Krishna awakens. When one is so situated that he can taste the association of Krishna, material existence, the repetition of birth and death, comes to an end. It comes to an end. It comes to an end. Haribol. The goal of love of Godhead is not to become materially rich or free from material bondage. The real goal is to be situated in devotional service to the Lord and to enjoy transcendental bliss. The results of devotional service are certainly not material benefits or liberation from material bondage. The goal of devotional service is to be eternally situated in the loving service of the Lord and to enjoy spiritual bliss from that service. One is said to be in a poverty-stricken condition when one forgets the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One has to end such a life of poverty in order to automatically end the miserable conditions of material existence. One is automatically liberated from material enjoyment when one tastes the service of Krishna. One does not have to endeavor separately for opulence. Opulence automatically comes to the pure devotee, even though he does not desire material happiness. In the Vedic literatures, Krishna is the central point of attraction, and his service is our activity. To attain the platform of love of Krishna is life's ultimate goal. Therefore Krishna, Krishna's service, and love of Krishna are the three great riches of life. In all revealed scriptures, beginning with the Vedas, the central point of attraction is Krishna. When complete knowledge of Him is realized, the bondage of Maya, the illusory energy, is automatically broken. There are many types of Vedic literatures and supplementary Puranas. In each of them, there are particular demigods who are spoken of as chief demigods. This is just to create an illusion for moving and non-moving living entities. Let them perpetually engage in such imaginations. However, when one analytically studies all these Vedic literatures collectively, he comes to the conclusion that Lord Krishna is the one and only Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's from Padma Purana. It's good to have with you, right? When one accepts the Vedic literature by interpretation or even by dictionary meaning, directly or indirectly, the ultimate declaration of Vedic knowledge points to Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna says, what is the purpose of all the Vedic literature? Or on whom do they focus? Who is the object of all speculation? Outside of me, no one knows these things. Now you should know that all these activities are aimed at ordaining and setting forth me. The purpose of the Vedic literature is to know me by different speculations, either by indirect understanding or by the dictionary understanding. Everyone is speculating about me. The essence of all Vedic literature is to distinguish me from Maya. By considering the illusory energy, one comes to the platform of understanding me. In this way, one becomes free from speculation about the Vedas and comes to me as the conclusion. Thus, one is satisfied. Purport. These two verses are quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.21.42 and 43. When Uddhava asked Krishna about the purpose of Vedic speculation, the Lord informed him of the process of understanding the Vedic literature. The Vedas are composed of Karmakanda, Jnanakanda, and Upasanakanda. One who analytically studies the purpose of the Vedas understands that by Karmakanda, sacrificial activity, one comes to the conclusion of Jnanakanda, speculative knowledge, and that after speculation one comes to the conclusion that worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate. When one comes to this conclusion, he becomes fully satisfied. The transcendental form of Lord Krishna is unlimited and also has unlimited opulence. He possesses the internal potency, external potency, and marginal potency. The material and spiritual world are transformations of Krishna's external and internal potencies, respectively. Therefore, Krishna is the original source of both the material and the spiritual manifestations. The 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam reveals the 10th object, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the shelter of all surrendered souls. He is known as Sri Krishna, and he is the ultimate source of all universes. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him. This is a quotation from the Bhavarta Deepika, Sridhar Swami's commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam 10.1.1. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a description of the Ashraya Tattva, Sri Krishna. There are two tattvas, Ashraya and Ashrita Tattva. Ashraya Tattva is the objective, and Ashrita Tattva is the subjective. Since the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna are the shelter of all devotees, Sri Krishna is called Param Dhamma. In the Bhagavad Gita 10.12, it is stated, Param Brahma Param Dhamma Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. Everything is resting under the lotus feet of Krishna. In Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.58, it is stated, Sama Shritaye Padapalavaplavam Mahatpadam Punya Yasho Marade. Under the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, the entire Mahat Tattva is existing. Since everything is under Sri Krishna's protection, Sri Krishna is called Ashraya Tattva. Everything else is called Ashrita Tattva. The material creation is also called Ashrita Tattva. Liberation from material bondage and the attainment of the spiritual platform are also Ashrita Tattva. Krishna is the only Ashraya Tattva. In the beginning of the creation, There are Mahavishnu, Garbhadakshay Vishnu, and Kshirodakshay Vishnu. They are also Ashraya Tattva. Krishna is the cause of all causes, Sarva Karana Karanam. To understand Krishna perfectly, one has to make an analytical study of Ashraya Tattva and Ashrita Tattva. O Sanatan, please hear about the eternal form of Krishna. He is the absolute truth, devoid of duality, but present in Vrindavan as the son of Nanda Maharaj. Krishna is the original source of everything and the sum total of everything. He appears as the supreme youth, and his whole body is composed of spiritual bliss. He is the shelter of everything and master of everyone. Krishna is the origin of all Vishnu Tattvas, including Mahavishnu, Garbhadakshay Vishnu, and Kshirodakshay Vishnu. He is the ultimate goal of Vaishnava philosophy. Everything emanates from him. His body is completely spiritual and is the source of all spiritual being. Although he is the source of everything, he himself has no source. Advaitam, Achutam, Anadim, Anantarupam. Ajam Purana Purusham, Nava Yovanam Cha. Although he is the supreme source of everyone, he is still always a fresh youth. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes. Brahma Samhita. The original Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna. His original name is Govinda. He is full of all opulences, and his eternal abode is known as Goloka Vrindavan. Ete chamsha kala pumsa, Krishna stu bhagavan swayam, indrari vyakulam lokam hridayanti yuge yuge. All these incarnations of Godhead are either plenary portions or parts of the plenary portions of the Purusha avatars. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. In every age, he protects the world through his different features when the world is disturbed by the enemies of Indra. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.28. See also Adi Lila, chapter 2, verse 67. There are three kinds of spiritual processes for understanding the Absolute Truth. The process of speculative knowledge, mystic yoga, and bhakti yoga. According to these three processes, the Absolute Truth is manifested as Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. Learned transcendentalists who know the Absolute Truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.11. Those who are interested in the impersonal Brahman effulgence, which is not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, can attain that goal by speculative knowledge. Those who are interested in practicing mystic yoga can attain the localized aspect of Paramatma. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hridaya Sharajuna Tishtati, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated within the heart of Paramatma. He witnesses the activities of the living entities and gives them permission to act. For a further explanation, see Adi Lila, chapter 2, verse 11. The manifestation of the impersonal Brahman effulgence, which is without variety, is the rays of Krishna's bodily effulgence. It is exactly like the sun. When the sun is seen by our ordinary eyes, it appears to consist simply of effulgence. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is endowed with great power. The glowing effulgence of his transcendental form is the impersonal Brahman, which is absolute, complete, and unlimited, and which displays the varieties of countless planets, with their different opulences in millions and millions of universes. From Brahma Samhita. The Paramatma, the Supersoul feature, is a plenary portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the original soul of all living entities. Krishna is the source of the Paramatma. You should know Krishna to be the original soul of all Atmas. Atmanam Akilatmanam. living entities. For the benefit of the whole universe, he has, out of his causeless mercy, appeared as an ordinary human being. He has done this by the strength of his own internal energy. That's a quotation from 10th canto, 14th chapter, 55th verse. Who spoke it? Huh? Shukadev. Parikshit Maharaj asked Shukadev Goswami why Krishna was so beloved by the residents of Vrindavan, who loved him even more than their own offspring or life itself. At that time, Shukadev Goswami replied that everyone's Atma or soul is very, very dear, especially to all living entities who have accepted material bodies. But that Atma, the spirit soul, is part and parcel of Krishna. For this reason, Krishna is very dear to every living entity. Everyone's body is very dear to oneself, and one wants to protect the body by all means, because within the body, the soul is living. Due to the intimate relationship between the soul and the body is important and dear to everyone. Similarly, the soul, being part and parcel of Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is very, very dear to all living entities. Unfortunately, the soul forgets his constitutional position and thinks he is only the body, Deha Atma Buddhi. Thus, the soul is subjected to the rules and regulations of material nature. Ouch. When a living entity, by his intelligence, reawakens his attraction for Krishna, he can understand that he is not the body, but part and parcel of Krishna. Thus, filled with knowledge, he no longer labors under attachment to the body and everything related to the body. Janmasya moho yamahamameti. Material existence wherein one thinks, I am the body and this body belongs to me, is also illusory. One must redirect his attention to Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam says, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayat Yashavairagyam Jnanam Cha Yadahaitukam. By rendering devotional service under the personality of guided Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. Bhagavad Gita 10:42. Only by devotional activity can one understand the transcendental form of the Lord, which is perfect in all respects. Although his form is one, he can expand his form into unlimited numbers by his supreme will. The Supreme Personality of Godhead exists in three principal forms: Swarup, Swayam Rupa, Tadekatma Rupa, and Avesh Rupa. Srila Rupa Goswami has described the Swayam Rupa in his Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Purvakanda, verse 12. The form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that does not depend on other forms is called the Swayam Rupa, the original form. This form is also described in Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the original form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That Krishna's form as a cowherd boy in Vrindavan is the original form of the Personality of Godhead, Swayam Rupa, is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna. There is nothing superior to Govinda. He is the ultimate source and the cause of all causes. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7:7. The Lord says, Matak Paratanamya Nanyat. Nanyat. There is no truth superior to me. The Tadekatma Rupa forms are also described in the Laghu Bhagavatamrita. Quote, the Tadekatma Rupa forms exist simultaneously with the Swayam Rupa and are non-different. At the same time, their bodily features and specific activities appear to be different. The Tadekatma Rupa forms are divided into two categories, Swamsha and Vilas. Lord Krishna's Avesh forms are also explained in the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Purva 18. Quote, a living entity who is specifically empowered by the Lord with knowledge or strength is technically called Avesh Rupa. As stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna Shakti Vina Nahitar Pravartana. Unless, missing a U there. Unless a devotee is specifically empowered by the Lord, he cannot preach the holy name of the Lord all over the world. This is an explanation of the word Vaisesika. The original form of the Lord, Swayam Rupa, is exhibited in two forms, Swayam Rupa and Swayam Prakash. In his original form as Swayam Rupa, Krishna is observed as a cowherd boy in Vrindavan. In his original form, Krishna manifests himself in two features, Prabhav and Vaibhav. He expands his one original form into many, as he did during the Rasa Leela dance. When the Lord married 16,108 wives in Dwarka, at Dwarka, he expanded himself into many forms. These expansions and the expansions of the Rasa dance, at the Rasa dance, are called Prabhava Prakash, according to the directions of revealed scriptures. The Prabhava Prakash expansions of Lord Krishna are not like the expansions of the sage Saubhari. Had they been so, Narada would not have been astonished to see them. It is astounding that Lord Sri Krishna, who is one without a second, expanded himself into 16,000 similar forms to marry 16,000 queens in their respective homes. Bhagavatam 10:69. If one form or feature is differently manifested according to different emotional features, it is called Vaibhava Prakash. When the Lord expands himself in innumerable forms, there is no difference in the forms. But due to different features, bodily, colors, and weapons, the names are different. In different Vedic scriptures, there are prescribed rules and regulations, regulative principles for worshipping different types of forms. When one is purified by these rules and regulations, he worships you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although manifested in many forms, you are one. This verse is quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam 1040.7. In the Vedas it is stated, that the one becomes many, Eko Bahusham. The Supreme Personality of Godhead expands himself in various forms, Vishnu Tattva, Jiva Tattva, and Shakti Tattva. According to the Vedic literatures, there are different regulative principles for the worship of each of these forms. If one takes advantage of the Vedic literatures and purifies himself by following the rules and regulations, ultimately he worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mama Vartmanavartante Manusha Partha Sarvasha. Worship of the demigods is in a sense worship of the Personality of Godhead, but such worship is said to be avidhi purvakam, improper. Actually, demigod worship is meant for unintelligent men. One who is intelligent considers the words of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Braja. One who worships demigods worships the Supreme Lord indirectly, but according to the revealed scriptures, there is no need to worship him indirectly. One can worship him directly. Full permission, direct worship. The first manifestation of the Vaibhava feature of Krishna is Sri Balaramji. Who?
Sri Balaramji.
Sri Balaram and Krishna have different bodily colors, but otherwise Sri Balaram is equal to Krishna in all respects. Purport. To understand the difference between Swayam Rupa, Tade Katma Rupa, Avesh, Prabhava, and Vaibhava, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given the following description. In the beginning, Krishna has three bodily features. One, Swayam Rupa, as a cowherd boy in Vrindavan. Two, Tad Ekatma Rupa, which is divided into Swamshaka and Vilas. And three, Avesha Rupa. The Swamshaka, or expansions of the personal potency, are 1. Karna Dakshai Vishnu, Garbha Dakshai Vishnu, Shira Dakshai Vishnu, and 2. Incarnations such as fish, the fish, tortoise, boar, and Nrsimha. The Vilas Rupa has a Prabhava division including Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. There is also a Vaibhava division in which there are 24 forms, including the second Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. For each of these there are 3 forms, therefore there are 12 forms altogether. These 12 forms constitute the predominant names for the 12 months of the year, as well as the 12 tilak marks on the body. Each of the 4 personalities of Godhead expands into 2 other forms. Thus there are 8 forms, such as Purushottama, Achyuta, etc. The 4 forms, Vasudeva, etc., the 12, Keshava, etc., and the 8, Purushottama, etc., all together constitute 24 forms. The forms are differently named in accordance with the placement of the weapons they hold in their 4 hands. An example of Vaibhava Prakash is the son of Devaki. He sometimes has 2 hands and sometimes 4 hands. Purport: when Lord Krishna took his birth, he appeared outside the womb as 4-handed Vishnu. Then Devaki and Vasudeva offered their prayers to him and asked him to assume his 2-handed form. The Lord immediately assumed his 2-handed form and ordered that he be transferred to Gokula on the other side of the river Jamuna. When the Lord is 2-handed, he is called Vaibhava Prakash, and when he is 4-handed, he is called Prabhava Prakash. In his original form, the Lord dresses like a cowherd boy and thinks himself one. When he appears as Vasudeva, the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, his dress and consciousness are those of a Kshatriya, a warrior. When one compares the beauty, opulence, sweetness, and intellectual pastimes of Vasudeva, the warrior, to Krishna, the cowherd boy, son of Nanda Maharaj, one sees that Krishna's attributes are more pleasant. Indeed, Vasudeva is agitated just to see the sweetness of Govinda, and a transcendental greed awakens in him to enjoy that sweetness. Udgirna bhutamadari parimalasya biralilasya me Dvaityam hanta samakshayam vahurasau chitriyate charana Cheta keli kutuhalo taralitam satyam sake mamakam yasya preksha sarupatam vrajavudu sarupya abhichati. My dear friend, this dramatic actor appears like a second form of myself, my own self. Like a picture, he displays my pastimes as a cowherd boy, overflowing with wonderfully attractive sweetness and fragrance, which are so dear to the damsels of Vraja. When I see such a display, my heart becomes greatly excited. I long for such pastimes and desire a form exactly like that of the damsels of Vraja. This is a verse found in the Lalita Madhava. It was spoken by Vasudeva and Dwarka. One instance of Vasudeva's attraction to Krishna occurred when Vasudeva saw the Gandharva dance at Mathura. Another instance occurred in Dwarka when Vasudeva was surprised to see a picture of Krishna. Aparikalita purva. Don't worry, we're calculating. Aparikalita purva kashchamakkarakari spuratu mamagari. Wait, spuratu mamagari, and that doesn't work. Esha madhurya pura ayamahamapi hanta prekshayam lubda cheta surabhasam upabhoktum kamaye radikeva. Thank you. Who manifests an abundance of sweetness greater than mine, which has never been experienced before and which causes wonder to all? Alas, I myself, my mind bewildered upon seeing this beauty, impetuously desires to enjoy it like Srimati Radharani. This is spoken by Vasudeva in Dwarka. It is also recorded by Srila Rupa Goswami as a Lalita Madhava. When that body is a little differently manifested and its features are a little different in transcendental emotion and form, it is called tad ekatma. In that tad ekatma rupa, there are pastime expansions, vilas, and personal expansions, swamsha. Consequently, there are two divisions. According to pastime and personal expansion, there are various differences. Purport: the Lord's vilas expansions are described in the following verses from Laghu Bhagavatamrita. When the Lord displays numerous forms with different features by his inconceivable potency, such forms are called vilas vigrahas. The Lord's swamsha expansions are also described in the Laghu Bhagavatamrita. When a form of Krishna is non-different from the original form but is less important and exhibits less potency, it is called swamsha. Examples of swamsha expansions can be found in the quadruple forms of the Lord residing in their respective places, beginning with Sankarsana, Vasudeva, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. And also in the Purusha avatars, Lila avatars, Manvantara avatars, and Yuga avatars. What else is there? Again, the vilas forms are divided into twofold categories, prabhava and vaibhava. Again, the pastimes of these forms are unlimited variety. Was this on the SATs? They don't have this on the SAT? The chief quadruple expansions are named Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. These are called Prabhava Vilas. Balaram, who has the same original form as Krishna, is himself a cowherd boy in Vrindavan. What is Balaram? Correct. And he also considers himself a member of the Kshatriya race in Dwarka. Thus his color and dress are different, and he is called a pastime form of Krishna. Sri Balaram is Vaibhav Prakash manifestation of Krishna. He is also manifested in the original quadruple expansions of Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. These are the Prabhava Vilas expansions with different emotions. The first expansion of the Chaturvyuha, quadruple forms, is unique. There is nothing to compare with them. These quadruple forms are the source of unlimited quadruple forms. These four Prabhava pastime forms of Lord Krishna reside eternally in Dwarka and Mathura. From the original quadruple expansions, 24 forms are manifested. They differ according to the placement of the weapons in their four hands. They are called Vaibhava Vilas. And now we'll take a few reflections or questions. Yes, Mahendra and then Vijay are ready to go.
Srila Prabhupada was reading from CC in the 70s, 67, I think, or 68, in New York. There are a number of lectures, and when he was going through this, it seems it was tedious for it because they were long lectures over an hour. Prabhupada at one point said, "It's a little technical, but we have to go on and hear." I just noticed in the beginning when they started discussion and Sanatana Goswami asked these questions again about sadhya sadhana. It's like the pivotal question. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Rai, sadhya sadhana. Tapan Mishra asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about what's the goal of life, what's the method to attain it. So Sanatana is asking, and Mahaprabhu said, but you already know, and you're qualified, bhakti pravartana, you're qualified to teach, to spread bhakti. I just thought about this, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's so, in so many places in Chaitanya Charitamrita, telling Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Rupa, Sanatana, about, giving it to others. And this is so much in the scriptures, but it wasn't until, Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and Prabhupada really displayed
opened the door to everybody.
Opened the door. Otherwise, before them, they were like more Vaishnavas, more recluse, and they were like. So
it's a revelation of how liberal Lord Chaitanya was, and also how eager he was to spread Krishna consciousness, and how he empowered everybody. It's a nice observation. Thank you, Mahendra. Vijay Prabhu.
There was a discussion about...
Hold that close.
Discussion about the time. In the third canto it says, in the spiritual world there is undoubtedly time, but it has no control over activities. Time is unlimited in the spiritual world is also unlimited, since everything there exists on the absolute plane.
So what do the clocks look like?
So here, there's control over activities. Time has control over activities, but there's no control over activities.
Like in prison, they tell you when to get up, when to go exercise and stuff like that. But in the spiritual world, there's no schedule. But actually there is, because every day Krishna has a schedule. Okay, Gopal.
There was mention of competitor earlier.
Competitor, from Bhayam Dvitiya.
I had a question about that.
Yes.
There are two kind of competitors. One is trying to be God, like a Mayavadi impersonalist, and then there's a materialist trying to enjoy in competition with the Supreme Enjoyer.
Yeah.
Are those kind of two categories?
Yeah.
And then...
Of the two, the materialist is better. We read that earlier.
And then the question arises then that, is there any verses or explanation of how the Lord sees the competitor?
How does he see the competitor? Bhayam dvitiya binibesha tasyad ishad apetasya viparyo smriti tanmayata buddha avajatam bhaktyaka yesham gurudeva tama. Well, Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dvesho stinapriya ye bhajanti tamam bhaktya mayate teshu chapyaham. Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita, I see everyone equally. Samoham sarvabhuteshu, all living entities, I treat equally and see equally, except for the devotees. Samaham sarvabhuteshu name dvesho stina. That's the first half of the verse, and the second one, he breaks loose into his expression of love for his devotees. Because the first one he says, I see everyone equally, and that includes people who are acting in a contrary way to their nature. But then he says, Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya. But those who are engaged in worshipping me, the bhaktas, maite teshu chapyam, I'm in them and they're in me. And the acharyas say that this verse, it shows the excellence of devotional service, that as soon as one begins to worship Krishna, ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya, then Krishna fully embraces that soul. So he's letting everyone act according to their own nature in the material world. What did you have in mind? What were you searching for? If you give an idea, maybe.
The living entity, Bhayamukha, has turned his face from the Lord.
Yeah.
So when the living entity does that, how does the Lord feel or see that jiva?
I'm calculating. I'll get back to you in a few seconds. Is there another question in the meantime? Yes? All the way in the back of the outside people's party, there's an unembodied hand.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
In Brihad Bhagavatamrita we read that is a conversation between Parikshit Maharaj and his mother, and that was written by Sanatana Goswami. So did he get that knowledge through this conversation with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu?
Well, some of the knowledge that's embodied there, he did. But the Brihad Bhagavatamrita is a recount of the conversation that Uttara, Parikshit Maharaj's mother, has with Parikshit after the main discussion between Shukadeva and Parikshit. There was some gap of time before he was bitten by the snake bird. Uttara was not near the front, and they didn't have a speaker system like ours. And so she wanted to hear the essence of what he had said at that time, and so he was recounting it. And that's the Brihad Bhagavatamrita.
Yes, Maharaj, but I'm wondering how Sanatana Goswami knew that knowledge.
How did Sanatana Goswami
learn that knowledge?
Well, there's a description in the beginning of the book about how, well, Sanatana Goswami was enlightened by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So yes, as I said in the beginning, that the knowledge that he has here is how he was directed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but the Brihad Bhagavatamrita is revealed scripture. It's just as, for instance, the Ramayana is written by Valmiki. Valmiki had a revelation of the pastimes of the Lord so clearly that as if they were taking place within the same room. So he was just writing down what he was seeing in front of him. And the meter came to him through a time when he had become angered when he... Anyway, I don't need to go into the whole Ramayana, but I'm saying that it's a similar circumstance.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Mukaravind.
Maharaj, the previous section that Guru Maharaj that we read was so empowering. I especially feel that for conditioned soul like me, and how one verse after another, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling that, and like in one verse it says, Vyasadeva kindly compiled this Vedic literature for all the conditioned soul, and then how the Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all Vedic literature. And this is so much empowering to understand that we are not just helplessly left in this material world. Krishna has sent through Vedic literature, and then in one verse it says like Guru, Sadhu and Shastra basically. So all this whole philosophy is so wonderfully woven in the last few verses, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also gives such a wonderful analogy of pebbles of Sarvagya, which is so simple to understand, and he gave that analogy. It clears out it's really condition of a conditioned soul who has the highest wealth with him, but is just unknown. So I really found this so empowering, this last section.
Well, just an observation, Mukaravind, you've been in some kind of samadhi bliss since you got here. It hasn't abated. And, there's a conversation at the beginning of Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and I'm trying to go back to it in my memory banks with Jaimini Rishi.
Maharaj, I have answered that Kesava Bharati Maharaj once wrote to you about that.
Yes, go ahead.
So this is from Kesava Bharati Maharaj wrote about who was the editor of Brihad Bhagavatamrita. He writes, Sanatana Goswami states himself in the text of Brihad Bhagavatamrita that the narration was delivered to Maharaj Parikshit to his mother Uttara just after Sukdev Goswami delivered Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. She asked her son what Sukdev had said. Then Parikshit, realizing that he didn't have time to repeat the Srimad Bhagavatam verbatim before the snake bird came, delivered Srimad Bhagavatam to his mother as the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sukdev arranged for Jaimini to be sitting close enough to hear Parikshit narration. Later, when Jaimini was reciting Shastra in the court of Janmejaya, after Jaimini recited Mahabharata, Janmejaya felt different than he had even felt before while hearing Mahabharata. Even Vyasadev's version, in the bracket, Gopi told me that there were different versions of Mahabharata, most of which have been lost, and bracket close. So Janmejaya asked Jaimini if he had anything more. Then Jaimini recited Brihad Bhagavatamrita for the second time. That's all we know about the book. It was actually spoken, then lost, and Sanatan Goswami admits that it was revealed through his heart. So whether the pastime of Narada's travels and Gopakumara's travels are historical incidents or not is actually irrelevant. They came from the heart of Sanatan Goswami, and so they are accepted as true.
Om Tat Sat. Heart. Okay, yes, Nitya Tarangani, and yes, Vaishnavi.
I have one question and one reflection from online audience. The question is from Preeti Purnamataji. Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. In ISKCON, we don't lead a mendicant life, but
Mendicant life, okay.
In ISKCON, we don't lead a mendicant life, but go out and preach and have prasadam in temple or at home. So devotees need to be presentable. Or is there something for us to learn from this pastime?
Yeah, you shouldn't dress like a mendicant. Prabhupada, when he saw the Harinam party in Los Angeles, the devotees had driven him past the Harinam party, and later he appreciated the Harinam, but he said that you should dress nicely, you should represent nicely. And he also had a saying that first dress, then address, meaning you should look nice before you address people. And so he appreciated when devotees dressed nicely. But I'm not sure if that's what she's asking. About being a mendicant. Oh, right. So when we hear about the renunciation of the Goswamis, especially Raghunath Das and Rupa and Sanatan, you have to realize that they were representing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They were billionaires. Raghunath Das came from a billionaire family. Rupa and Sanatan were billionaires. They worked directly for the emperor, and they had everything. They lived in palaces themselves, and they had all the money in the world. And so they were setting an example for people in general at that time by taking that extreme form of renunciation and teaching Krishna consciousness from that platform. And as we read what Prabhupada said the other day, we can dress in any way that's effective for us. There's a controversy about what to wear. Early days, devotees always wore dhotis, and they all went out in dhotis too, and they got kicked out of many places. So Bhaktidas was temple president in San Diego, California, and he came up with an idea that devotees could wear clothes that would make them blend into the rest of the group. So they went to Salvation Army and got everybody all spiffed up. And then Kirtananda Maharaj wrote and complained and said they turned back into hippies. They're wearing karmi clothes. And Prabhupada said, tell them to stop. And then Bhaktidas wrote and said, Prabhupada, we've tripled, quadrupled our scores because of book distribution as we were getting kicked out of this place and that place. And then Prabhupada wrote back and said, okay, keep doing it. And then he also wrote that purport. And we used to have, I remember Panchatattva, he's a devotee, a disciple of Prabhupada. He had a thing about wearing a dhoti in the airport when we distributed. And then we'd always have competitions to see who did better, the dhotis or the straight dressing, karmi clothes kind of thing. Inconclusive. People ask me about book distribution and what they should wear. I say, wear whatever gets you out the door, as long as you look nice. Because it's psychological for people. Some people, they do better in a dhoti because they feel it gives them an advantage. I feel like that. And other people feel so mental about it that, or they might stand out so much, they might not be accepted in certain places. So better if they go in such a way they feel comfortable. Main point is just to go out. I know that wasn't exactly the question, but I just thought I'd throw that in there for free. Nitya Charangani, you got more?
Just one reflection. This is from Vamshuli Prabhu. Hare Krishna Dear Gurudev.
Hare Krishna.
Please accept my humble obeisances. He has an observation. Krishna gave mercy to competitors such as Paundraka and Shishupal.
There you have it. Paundraka, he said, you want the symbols of Vishnu? Paundraka said, I am the real Vishnu. You should hand over those symbols of Vishnu because you really want them? That's really what he said. You really think you can handle these, huh? So he gave him the Sudarshan chakra first. And who was the other one? Paundraka and who? Shishupal got the, yeah, he got the chakra. Krishna was really expert when he cut off his head because none of the blood could hit the ground because it would ruin the yajna. So he was able to, somehow cauterize the wound and kill him in that point. Yeah, Krishna gives mercy to all the demons. Aho bakiyam stanakala kutam jikabha. Krishna gave mercy to Putana and everyone. That's his nature. So they're competitors and he gives them mercy. So nice point. Thank you, Vamshuli. How's everybody's experience out there today? And what was it like having the morning off? I know it's when we have this sangha every year, in times when we've ended at a certain time and said, okay, it's finished, then devotees kind of mope around for a few days. And also I felt it today too, just coming back, it was like really missing it, being in this environment and being with all of you, hearing and chanting. You can tell when you walk away from the yajna, it has a profound effect. It's like sometimes people accidentally take too much medication. They took more than was on the bottle, this prescription, and then they think, it didn't affect me. Then a couple hours later, whoa. Same thing when you keep hearing and chanting for some time. You find when we walk away, the effect is long-lasting and profound. Any other experiences or thoughts about what we're all going through here? Or you'd rather keep it private? Oh, good. Mathura Kripa's going to contribute. Sharing means caring.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. I was thinking about the power of association and how there's no way I could read this much in such a short time if I was on my own. But because I'm associating with devotees who do have more of taste for reading and hearing, then somehow or other I'm also able to do it.
Yeah. And even if one has taste, it may be difficult to find an uninterrupted environment, an environment in which we're uninterrupted. So it's by design that we come all the way out here and sequester ourselves so that we can get what Ekachakra said, we get into flow. You can do so much when you're in the flow, and that's what yajnas are like, is you arrange it just so that there's no interruptions whatsoever, so you can go deeply within the chanting of 16 rounds or the reading and things like that. Like this morning at the ICC meeting, Guru Prasad Swami was there and he gave he gave a talk, and during his talk he was just trying to rally all the leaders that were there, and he was saying, he said in rare occasions only, but he'll look at his phone in the morning, but he said, but general rule is he doesn't turn on his phone until after the morning program. And he was urging devotees to get into deep flow and absorption in their sadhana. Any other revelations about the experience here? Yeah, Gopinath.
I attended the readings some years ago with Keshav Maharaj. He came for about a week and he just told me to come with him, so why not? That was when you were reading Adi Lila. I don't remember what year, maybe 2022, Kartik. And I remember having an overwhelming feeling for the first time in a long time that I'd got a new toy as a child and I wanted to show my friends, and I was so excited and I couldn't wait to go home and tell everyone about what I'd found. So yeah, now I'm getting to do the whole thing, or at least for an extended period of time. So I really, really appreciate it, and thank you to all the Vaishnavas and of course you for giving me this experience.
Thanks for reminding about the Adi Lila. My experience of reading the Adi Lila was that I thought, this is very readable. You could even distribute it and people could read it. There was once a sale on Adi Lila Part 1. I was stationed in Atlanta, Georgia, and they had taken advantage of the sale and filled up their entire book room with Adi Lila Volume 1, which we were distributing at the airport to military people. And it was funny because, it's this big. In any case, my experience, just following from what you said and a reminder, now I remember when you were here, reading the Adi Lila, my thought was, this is really a good book. And it's something that anybody could read and understand, even as an introductory book. There's a few purports in there. But in general, Prabhupada's books are so lucid, and he has this mystic power to be able to write such deep philosophical points that are also accessible to everybody. Thank you for sharing. Fantastic. Okay, one last one from the Outside People's Party, and then we're going to sing our Damodar Ashtakam. Sharing means caring.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I just have much more appreciation for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu after hearing so much about him, and yeah, I'm excited to keep reading now. Obviously, like Mathura, I do enjoy reading, but I don't really have that much time. So this has been a very amazing experience to go deep and hear about Lord Chaitanya.
Thank you for sharing that. Why don't we just do this all the time? Yeah, okay. I said that was the last one, but there's one more from the inside.
To piggyback on what Prabhu just said, it's really amazing. Like, there's so many amazing things during this yatra, but one thing is, I've never read Chaitanya Charitamrita, but now sitting down reading, hearing, whenever I go and see the deity, like in the temple room, I'm looking at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it's like completely different. It's like now I understand like more and more about him, because I never read besides teachings of Lord Chaitanya, like lectures, but it's completely like different now. So it's so awesome.
Shastra Chakshus. What did you say out there? Hari Hari. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Gaurnitai, Shri Shri Panchatattva. If you so desire, please may you display the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu within our minds and hearts, and may we extract all the lessons from his pastimes, and may we also speak them in such a way that people become attracted and take advantage of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance in this world by joining the Sankirtan movement. Thank you for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Everyone agrees with this prayer in whole or in part. Please unmute and say Hare Krishna. Gaur Premanande, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo. Panchakalpadrivishya kripa sindhaveva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Now we're going to have the ceremonial moving of the chairs, and right after that we're going to start with the Damodar Ashtakam.
What? In Govardhan, these huge paintings.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Shishupala cutting head.
Yeah.
You've seen, but there are two versions. On the first floor, the head is still there. It's not cut. And the second is the first one. I painted the head is flying.
Wow.
And then people are like, what? This is God? God's mercy? So I painted another one.
I was really impressed with those.
Yeah.
We had our BBT meeting there a couple of years ago, and it was endlessly fascinating to see those.
Yeah.
Okay. Namam Vishwaram Everybody's welcome to join in the room. We've fit as many as 1,000 people in here before. Namam Ishvaram Sakshit Ananda Rupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Vrajamanam Yashoda Viyaluka Ladavamana Tam Visamadhyanta Tojujagopya Dantayam Mahuneta Yugma Vrijanta Karamboja Yogena Sakantamita Shakampatvile Kankakanta Sita Graiva Damodara Iti Driksalila Ananda Kunde Sagosham Vimajantam Akyatayantam Yeshita Geshu Bhaktir Jitatam Puna Prema Tastam Shatam Vritti Vande Param Deva Moksha Moksha Bhajimba Chandam Vine Jamachantamilaya Yutam Kundalai Snigdha Akasaropya Ishtam Vitam Bimbarasadayame Namaskarirasya Namaskaravaya Kasina Prabhu Dukha Shamama Javivakishya Ratma Javada Mujaiva Jada Taya Mochita Vajiva Cha Prema Bhakti Sakamena Namokshegame Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Last chance. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gaura Premananda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Go Premanande, Hare Hare Bal. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare